There's no game out there just like Spellbreak, and I personally haven't found one that scratches the same itch. And one thing I've noticed whenever I do take time off and come back to the game, I tend to appreciate it a little bit more, just because of the fact that there isn't any other game out there just like it. So this is a list of games similar to Spellbreak, and games I've seen former and current players enjoy. If any of you feel like I missed a game or two that the community might enjoy, let us know by mentioning them down in the comments below. I've broken up these games into 3 simple genres: BRs, arena style games, and MMOs. So feel free to click the timestamps below. And we can start off with the first game, which I'm pretty sure most of you guys don't know about. I decided to put this first game in its own category as an honorable mention just because it's a very new and indie game. It's still in its alpha or even pre-alpha stages, really. But it's for all my Avatar fans out there. It's made by people who are fans of the Avatar series and desperately want a pro-bending scene, a pro-bending game. It's called Bending Fan Game. Down in the description box, I'll put a link to their Discord so you can download the game and have fun being a firebender, a waterbender, even an earthbender. I decided to include this game on the list mainly for the fact that a lot of people who play Spellbreak are a fan of Avatar and have always wanted a water gauntlet, so here you are. You have a water gauntlet now. It's projectile based as well. Currently you can only fight bots, but in the future you may be able to fight against real other human beings. So some of the clips that I've seen of this game, it has a lot of potential. The movement is just something that I'm kind of hesitant with, so this is more of a game just to keep an eye out on, and you can just have fun messing around as a fire, earth, wind, and water bender. Their first BR game that I want to mention is Realm Royale, because out of all the BRs that are currently out, I think Realm Royale is the closest thing to Spellbreak you can get. Yes, I know this game has been abandoned by Hi-Rez, but if you didn't know, Hi-Rez has lately been hiring people for Realm Royale specifically, so there may be a Realm Royale update. Probably going to come either middle to late of next year though. But there's still a lot to do in Realm Royale. I first started playing Realm Royale about a month ago. I knew I had so much fun. I learned a lot about the game. And a little fun fact, when they announced that Realm Royale was being abandoned, a bunch of Spellbreak developers actually went into Realm Royale's competitive Discord to tell them about Spellbreak during the early phases of Spellbreak. And if the devs did that, they definitely knew there was a lot of overlap between Spellbreak and Realm Royale. And another thing that's cool is that Realm Royale has a blink. They have a blink rune, but in their game it's just called blink movement. It's a blink movement ability. It works somewhat similar, but it's not as broken as it was in alpha and pre-alpha. But yeah, Realm Royale is a pretty fun game. There's a lot of depth to it as well. There's classes, cooldowns, a lot to do. It's very much fun. And in my opinion, it's both casually and competitively sound as well, if you can find the right community in Realm Royale. And trust me, there is still a community in Realm Royale, believe it or not. Which might be one of the reasons why Hi-Rez decided to start hiring more developers for the game. I definitely recommend checking out Realm Royale. The next BR game that I want to talk about is Bloodhound. Now this BR is somewhat new. It came out early August, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. But what I do know is a lot of former Spellbreak players enjoyed playing Bloodhound. It has a class system with abilities as well. Most of their weapons are hit scan, which is something I forgot to mention in Realm Royale. Realm Royale has a combination of hit scan weapons and projectile based weapons, right? But Bloodhound is mainly hit scans. But Bloodhound also has melee weapons as well, including dual swords and axes and all that jazz too. I definitely recommend checking out Bloodhound. I personally like the few games I played with it. The vampire aesthetics kind of turned me off a little bit, but if that's your kind of jam, I'm sure you'll enjoy Bloodhound as well. And the movement in Bloodhound is pretty on point too. Think of it as a third-person Apex with wall climbing, and it has a hint of Hyperscape 2, in my opinion, just because the map is designed around verticality. Naraka Bladepoint is another BR but with a twist. It's a melee-focused BR. I personally seen a lot of Spellbreak players try the game and even quit. Most of them were competitive Spellbreak players too, and there's a reason for that. Naraka Bladepoint is very competitive and sweaty, and in my opinion probably one of the hardest BRs on this list. They too have a class system with cooldowns for you to manage as well. And they also support another arena style game mode. Whenever I say arena style, I just mean a game mode where you can respawn in and keep fighting as well. So if you think you're up to the task of sweating it out against the best technical players, then give Naraka Bladepoint a chance. It's very fun and at times can be quite rewarding as well. The last two BRs I won't spend so much time on just because I feel like a lot of people already know about them. One of which is Apex. Apex is another BR that I think is one of the hardest ones on this list as well, but it's very rewarding. If you can get past the whole RNG with attachments, there's a reason why I like to call it Apex BR Attachment Royale, is because the RNG can be very frustrating at times. But if you can get past that, you're in for an amazing experience as well. They also have a round-based game mode called Arenas, as BRs aren't your cup of tea. They also have characters with cooldown abilities, which isn't as hard to manage just because their cooldowns are pretty long. But if you're into that kind of thing, give Apex a try. They recently came out with a new update with a new map as well, new character. You can always expect timely updates from Respawn and EA. Yes, Fortnite. I feel like I just had to include Fortnite on this list. Whether you like it or not, Fortnite set the standards for BRs. The only reason why I'm really including it on this list is because of the aesthetics, right? A lot of people who played Spellbreak was saying Spellbreak is just magic Fortnite, even though at times I feel like Fortnite has more magical elements to it. I've seen people play it and wow, there's a lot to do in Fortnite. It's just not a BR anymore either, but that's what it's known for, which is why I put it on this list. You can craft weapons, you can interact with NPCs, even create your own game modes, or even join other like respawnable arena game modes where you can respawn and fight it out with other people, box fights and whatnot. So if you forgot about Fortnite, why not? There's always something new going on in Fortnite. If you need a palate cleanser, why not just play a little bit of Fortnite? Now time for arena style games. And when I say arena style, I mean games where you can respawn. The first one I want to talk about is Kirksville. I hope I'm saying that right. It's also a melee focused game, but they also have ranged weapons as well. It's very cartoonish. I had a lot of fun playing it, and they've had a massive update recently as well. There's cooldowns to manage, classes to grind out, and the content is there as well. Definitely recommend picking up Kirksville, especially if you're into like anime games. I'll probably be streaming this game in the future as well, just because I picked it up recently and I didn't want to stop playing it really. There's a lot to do. I definitely recommend this game. And before I forget, Kirksville doesn't only have PvP content, they also have PvE where you can fight monsters and other beings as well. So if you're into PvE content, Kirksville has you covered. And speaking of PvE content, the next game that I want to talk about is Dauntless. Think of it as Monster Hunter with the aesthetics of Fortnite. And it's been a while since I played Dauntless, but it can be very fun if you're into PvE content. You can slay dragons or other mythical creatures as well, which are pretty cool looking creatures, and their cosmetics are pretty on point as well in my opinion. And they also have updates every now and then and a battle pass too to sink your teeth into. And each weapon has their own special abilities and cooldowns that you can mess around with as well. Now, Dauntless is primarily PvE, but they also have like seasonal LTMs like snowball fighting where you can go against other players. So feel free to give Dauntless a try if you're into PvE focused gameplay. Now the next two games, I just want to combine them just because they're very similar, and even though I know a lot of the hardcore community members of each game will say they're nothing alike, and those two games are Paladins and Overwatch. Me personally, I found that a lot of Spellbreak players came from Overwatch. They played Overwatch. Both casual and competitive players came from Overwatch. And I recommend that if you're into like those big massive fights of Clash, then you probably should check out both Paladins and Overwatch just to see. Overwatch, I forgot how much Overwatch costs, but Paladins is completely free to play. Even some of the current Spellbreak players are hopping over to Paladins just because of how fun they find it. Even though both games are first-person shooters, there's still a lot to do in Paladins. There's a buttload of characters in both games, and to learn this, and there's a lot of depth with each character, and there's a lot of things you can do with the cooldowns, with their abilities, items, It's there for you to sink your teeth in for sure. Now this next game is one that even the CEO paired Spellbreak to, saying they found a lot of inspiration from, and that is Quake. Basically there's two ways you can play Quake Champions, which is free. They have characters with special abilities, or Quake Live, which a lot of people will think is the superior version of Quake. I remember when Spellbreak went offline between the beta to launch, a lot of the Element community was playing Quake and we were having a lot of fun. Even the community manager, Effin Flossie, even Flossie enjoys Quake, even has a background in Quake, so give it a shot. Then this next game isn't out yet. It's called Century Age of Ashes. It comes out December 2nd, and I pray to God that we have some Spellbreak news before December 2nd. But if we don't get any, feel free to check out this game. They have a few game modes as well. I didn't get the chance to play in the beta. I know a handful of Spellbreak players have told me that they're interested in playing this game. There are projectile elements, and I think there are auto aim as well. I'm not 100% sure. Again, I haven't played it, but I know a small handful of Spellbreak players are looking forward to this game. It's pretty cool looking. You get the right dragons. How sick is that? Come on now. This next game is, I'm sure, something that a lot of people already know. It's called Valerian Pig. Whoop-de-doo. It is a round-based game mode. They have a lot of characters with special abilities and cooldowns that you have to manage. It's popular for a reason because it's very competitive and they have casual aspects and it's free, so it doesn't hurt to try. It's a lot more slow paced than Spellbreak, but I've seen a handful of Spellbreak content creators enjoy Valorant whenever they get frustrated with Spellbreak. Now the first MMO that I want to talk about is New World. I'm sure a lot of people already know about New World. A lot of people have been spending a crazy amount of time on New World because they're having so much fun. And rightly so. They have both PvE and PvP combat that has really captivated a lot of players, not just in the Spellbreak community, but just all over. And New World also has abilities and cooldowns for you to keep track of. They also have an Ice Gauntlet and a Board Gauntlet, which is one of the mini classes or gauntlets that I've known have been requested in the Spellbreak. And I believe it's about $50 to get into, and for MMO, that's not too bad, especially with all the content that you get from New World. I feel like that's a bargain. Now this next MMO, I was kind of hesitant to put it in this category just because I don't know if you can classify it as your traditional MMO. I guess you can say it's a single player MMO with co-op options as well. And this MMO is Genshin Impact. The art style is very similar to Breath of the Wild, which is what a lot of people say Spellbreak art style is similar. There are characters with special abilities that you can get, and the cool thing is that these abilities are elemental based and they have elemental interactions. So if you're into PvE grinding or like gacha games, then Genshin Impact might be your cup of tea. This next MMO is one of my personal favorites. Is one that I stumbled across recently and I just love it just because of the action combat to it. The camera angle might turn some people off, but once you get used to it, you'll love it. You'll love it to death. Trust me. Trust me. They recently had a beta that ended on the 11th, but you can still play the game on Russian or Japanese servers with a VPN. There's guides out there. I'll link it down below if you want to try it out on Russian, Korean, or Japanese servers. This is also a character-based class where you pick a character and each of them have different abilities that you have to worry about their cooldowns and manage them. They also have PvP combat as well. I believe they have team deathmatch, an elimination game mode. You're on a team of 3, but each of you guys have 1v1s, and then they also have a deathmatch, which is just a free-for-all as well. Based off the little bit that I've been able to play, I've been having a blast. It's a free-to-play MMO, so there's no cost to you. And there are VPNs out there where you can just reinstall and continue your free trials, so it's up to you. The Western release is supposed to come in the first quarter of 2022, I believe, but you never know with how things are delayed quite often. I definitely recommend trying Lost Ark nonetheless. Those are all the games that I know that are similar or may even tickle your fancy if you enjoy Spellbreak. If any of you feel like I missed a game or two that the community might enjoy, let us know by mentioning them down in the comments below. Till next time, y'all stay safe and I'll see you later.